standard login.microsoftonline.com, which you will see here in my address bar. Or if you want to go straight to Outlook, it's actually easier to go up here and type in outlook.com/yourcompanyname.com. So outlook.com/yourcompanyname.com will take you straight to your company's login page. However, if you do it the way that I'm about to do it, then you'll notice that if you have a company name in your login, the moment you actually enter that into office365.com, it will redirect you to your company's login page. And now that I've been redirected to my company's login page, I can now click Sign In. Of course, if you prefer, you can go to the other URL I gave you, which is outlook.com/yourcompanyname.com. That'll take you straight here, and you don't have to log in twice. Anyway, I'm already here, so I'm just going to click on Sign In. Welcome to Office Online. Now, I've landed inside of Outlook. You may already be familiar with Outlook. We, of course, do have native applications on our computers that are slightly different from the applications that we're going to find online. In a little bit, we're actually going to do a deep dive into Outlook and see really what's here. But we're going to start off by just taking a nice short little preview of exactly what is familiar about the interface online. First of all, you will see a large bar across the top of your screen here. That's going to seem somewhat familiar to anybody who's spent some time in the local applications. It's kind of like the ribbon that we have that goes across the top of the screen. On the upper left-hand corner, or usually in the upper left-hand corner, we're going to see something that looks somewhat like a grid. We call this the waffle. And if you click on the waffle, you will see a set of different applications that you have available to you. Now, most of the time, the applications that you see in here are going to be the applications that were already established by your IT department that should be available to everybody the moment that they land there. However, if you've actually added on some additional applications, you should see those as well. For instance, I've added on additional applications here, some fancy ones called Power BI. I have something over here called Power Apps, and I have something over here called Flow. And these are all applications that you can add into your waffle as well. However, in this class, we are going to be focusing on the Mail application, which is what most people know of as Outlook. Now, Outlook used to be separated into many different applications, but all contained within one large parent application called Outlook. They are now sort of separated into these separate mini applications, if you will, apps, including Mail and Calendar. You'll see People here, which used to be known as Contacts in Outlook, and also Tasks, which used to be in Outlook as well. Other notable items on the interface are, on the upper right-hand side, you will see your profile. If you have associated a picture with your particular profile, you will see that picture up here. And if you click on that profile area, you'll see the option to change how you're appearing to other people. Maybe I want to be shown as available, and then it will mark me as available, or maybe I want to be shown as busy, and then it will show me as busy to other people. So when people try and send me a message or try and send me a Skype message, they will see that I'm actually busy there. You can also sign out directly from here. And a little bit to the left of your profile image, you'll see this icon that looks like a gear. This is the icon that will take you into all of your settings. And if you click on that icon, it will show you all the settings for the particular application that you're in. Those are the basics of what you're going to see in Office Online. Come on back and we'll take a deeper dive into Outlook itself and see what's different and what's the same. Outlook Online has some familiar elements that will feel very comfortable to us. On the left-hand side of the interface, we will have a list of all the different folders in which I could store emails. At the top, you will see your inbox, and underneath it, a set of other folders that are some of your favorite folders. If you would like to see a list of all of your folders, you're going to need to navigate down to the bottom of your list of folders where you see the word More. At the top of this, you will see that you have a group of favorited items. Underneath that group, however, you'll see a list of all the different folders that you could possibly have here. If you have an item that you use regularly, such as this item, you can mark it as favorited by hovering over that item and clicking on the star. You'll see that I already have the star filled in here, which means that it's actually already one of my favorites. Now, there are some benefits to having your folders favorited. First of all, they're just at the top and that makes it easier to find. But second of all, in this primary view, you'll see that the list of folders that are actually immediately viewable here happen to be the same folders that are your favorites. So if you would like to see your folders out here from the main view, make sure to mark it as a favorite and then you'll be able to see it out here. You can easily add an additional folder by simply clicking on the plus sign next to the word that says folders, and then you can simply name your new folder, whatever you'd like, and hit enter, and then it'll show up here for you. Similarly to the native application, you'll see your list of emails that have come in recently. These are the emails that are in my inbox because I've selected on my inbox from the list of folders on the upper left-hand side. I can select on any one of these emails and then I will see the preview on the right-hand side to read it, just as we are used to seeing. If I hover over any of these messages, I do get some options right here. Directly next to my cursor, there's an icon for delete. Right next to that, I can mark this as read or mark it as unread. You'll notice that messages that are marked as unread do have this blue bar on the left-hand side that actually indicates this message is unread. If I want to flag this to remind myself to take care of it later, I can click on the flag option, and that actually marks this item as flagged, and it also should show up in my tasks list. And just to the right of the flag, you'll also see an icon that looks like a thumbtack. If I click on that icon, it will actually navigate this message to the top of all of my messages. Now this has become one of my favorite emails. I've pinned it to the top of my list, so whenever I want to check my inbox, I will always see this message from Kara here at the top. If you are a fan of the categories feature, you'll be pleased to know that categories exist here on the online web application as well. On the upper right-hand side, you'll see an option that says Categories, and you can simply click on that drop-down menu there and choose from one of these categories here. You can also add more categories or rename categories or reassign colors by going down to where it says Manage Categories in that Categories drop-down menu. You'll see some new features on the online web app that you may not have seen before. If you look up at the top, you'll see an item that says Sweep. For anybody who has used rules before, you'll be happy to know that rules are also available here on the online web application. But it's far easier to create them now than it used to be using this sweep feature. If there's some kind of an email, like this particular email that I get from Tom, and I want to be able to do the same kind of thing all the time with emails from Tom, I can either design a rule by going through and designing all the individual different pieces of that rule, or I could click on sweep and I'll get an option of very commonly applied rules. I could simply click on one of these here and click on sweep, and that will apply that rule to this inbox based on the message that I had already selected and whatever specifications I had selected here. I'm not actually going to apply that, but it's neat to know that it works. Another icon up here that you may not be familiar with is the archive feature. This is a quick archive button that will archive your things very quickly. It used to be that you had to go back into the backstage view and find your archive features and click on it there and make a bunch of choices, but now we have this quick archive feature. And if you click on your archive button, you can set it up with options to create a new folder called archive, which of course you'll want to do if you don't already have one, and then archive your messages in that particular folder, or you can select a folder of your own to archive messages into. If you are looking for a particular message, simply use the new search feature to go looking for the topic or conversation that you are seeking. I'm going to type in Power BI, and I had this conversation with Kara here. That's the same one that I pinned earlier today. And this allows me to quickly find that message that I was looking for, and now I can read that particular email. When I am done looking for that particular email and I want to get back into my normal view, I can simply click on Exit Search, and that will get me back into my normal view of Outlook. Conversation view comes in standard with Outlook now. If you have written somebody an email, and they've written one back to you, and you back to them, and them back to you, and so on and so forth, that's a conversation. And rather than seeing each one of those emails stored separately in your inbox, now they are grouped together in conversations. Anytime you've had a conversation with somebody, you will see this triangle showing up to the left of the subject line. If you click on that triangle, It will expand that conversation so that you can actually see all the conversations, or rather all the emails that took place in this particular conversation. And to collapse that again, I'll just click on that triangle again, and it's now grouped up my conversations all together. Nice and tidy. Now, if I wanted to take a look at what was going on today, and for the next of my week, I probably want to take a look at my calendar. In order to move to a separate application, I'm going to need to go up to my waffle in the upper left-hand corner and find the application I'm looking for. In this case, that application is Calendar. I'm going to click on Calendar, and it will take me straight there. This looks a little bit familiar. It looks like the standard Outlook calendar that I am used to. I'll see the grayed out area on the outside of my work week. Your work week can be customized back in settings. Also see any appointments that I've actually applied listed here according to the color of their particular calendar. On the left-hand side, I'll see a list of all the different calendars that I have here. This is a list of calendars that I've created. I wanted to make all these calendars so that I could color coordinate the different kinds of things that I'm actually going to place on my calendar. One of the convenient new features of the calendar is that at the top you will actually see the weather. You can customize your location back in settings. Generally, though, it's pretty smart. It's able to check the weather and tell you exactly how it's going to look tomorrow, so I know whether or not to wear a jacket into San Francisco. Charms are a particularly neat new feature within the calendar and within all of Outlook. If I have this kind of an appointment where I'm going to need to be traveling, turns out that later on this week, I'm going to be teaching a neat class in Redding, California, and in order to do that, I'm going to need to drive there. I want to create some kind of an indicator to separate this particular appointment from the other appointments that have to do with teaching on site, which is what this particular color is for me, or this particular calendar. That's what that means for me. But there's a difference between the one on Tuesday and the one on Thursday. The one on Thursday requires me to travel. And so what I want to do is put a little icon on there that's going to communicate to me, hey, you need to travel for this particular thing. If I want to get into any appointment and make it a little bit more interesting, I can always click on the Edit button. Clicking on Edit is going to give me many more options for this particular appointment that I have established, including the ability to assign a charm. You'll see up at the top you have a Charms drop-down menu, and inside this menu I can choose from any one of these options. And I'm going to settle on the airplane. That's going to let me know, hey, I need to travel for this. Once I'm happy with it, I can go ahead and click on Save, and that's going to update that particular item. And you'll see now here at the bottom of that particular item, there's my charm right there letting me know that it's happening. If you want to add any appointment to your calendar, it's as easy as clicking and dragging. So maybe on Wednesday morning, I'm going to have an appointment here. I can simply click and drag and let go. And now I can say this is an example appointment. If this is all I need, I can go ahead and click Save. I can even reassign the calendar right from here and say, oh, this is one of my remote classes that I have that particular day. I can change the timing. I could even say that it's an all-day class, and I can jump right into my More Details dialog box. This happens to be enough for me right now, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Save, and now that appointment was added to my calendar. If I forgot to make an email reminder for myself for this particular calendar event, I can go ahead and edit it by simply clicking on that item, click on Edit, and now I can set up a nice little reminder for myself of maybe 2 hours before to remind me, hey, you need to start driving. And once I'm happy with it, I can go ahead and click on Save, and that particular item has now been saved to my calendar. So I've taken a look at my week. I have set up a reminder for myself that I'm going to be traveling later on this week, and I even have this nice little airplane icon down here to remind me that I'm actually going to be traveling for this. But maybe I need to prepare some documentation. And maybe this occurs to me when I'm already on the road. At that point, maybe my computer is packed inside my suitcase, which got checked at the airport, and I still need to be able to make modifications to the documents that I need. Well, lucky for us, with Office Online, you can do that from any smart device, anywhere. Anytime you have internet access on a smart device, you can access any of the files that you've saved inside of Office 365. Most of your documents do get saved in the location called OneDrive. OneDrive is the storage location for all of your files inside of Office 365. We're going to be jumping into OneDrive a little bit later, but for now, let's say I need to prepare a particular Word document in order to present that at my appointment on Thursday. I'm going to need to create a brand new Word document or maybe access one of the ones that I've used recently, and so I'm going to go into my Word application. On the left-hand side, you'll see a list of documents that I have modified recently. You even have an option down here to say, open a different file from OneDrive for Business. Of course, if you need to start a document from scratch, you can always start from a completely blank document using your new blank document template, or you can use one of the other very nice, very professional templates that are already generated for you inside of Word Online. Now, maybe I'm going to need to make some modifications to a particular document that I've entitled Microsoft's Power BI Walkthrough. If I click on this particular document, it will be opened up in Word Online. Now, this is just the preview version. Lucky for us, when any file opens up in Office Online, it's just for a quick view only at first, unless you decide that you actually want to edit it. If you do want to edit this document, which I do, I can go ahead and click on Edit Document, and I can click on either Edit in Word or Edit in the browser. If I click on Edit in Word, it's actually going to open up my native application. The term native application just refers to the version of Word that's actually stored on your computer, as opposed to the version of Word that's actually stored within Office Online. The second option here says Edit in Browser. That has to do with Word in Office Online. So if I want to go ahead and make some modifications in Word Online, I'm going to click on that second option here. And now this view should look a little bit more familiar to us. At the very top, there is a ribbon going all the way across the top of the screen. It is separated by different tabs of the ribbon. Each tab of the ribbon contains a number of commands that have to do with that particular tab. In this case, I'm on the Home tab of the ribbon, so this is just a collection of tools that are used most often. You may have noticed that some slight stylistic changes happened when I actually opened this in Word Online. The reason for that is that these online applications are not necessarily as powerful as their native counterparts, yet. In the future, Microsoft is going to be making additions to these online platforms on a regular basis. I find that every couple of weeks or so, when I log on, I'll get some kind of a notification that says, hey, these are the new things in this particular application. And you'll find that the longer you use this, the more powerful it will become. But for now, there were some slight modifications made here. And if I wanted to change them, or if I wanted to get all of the features that are available in my native application, I could always have chosen the option there that said Edit in Word. But for now, let's say I'm on the airplane and I'm trying to make some modifications here without opening up my computer. Maybe I'm on my tablet and I've decided to make some modifications here. On the Home tab of the ribbon, you will see some familiar commands, including copy and paste. You do have your format painter, all of your standard text editing options. You do have paragraph alignment options. You can also create bullets and numbered lists very easily. You can indent and outdent, if you will. You can center and right align, and of course left align and justify. You can also use your heading styles to change the look and feel of an entire paragraph all at once. You can also find any word that you're looking for and replace it with any other word that you like. On the Insert tab, you'll be able to put in page breaks and tables and pictures. The Add-ins feature allows you to choose additional add-ins that might be available for this particular program. So these would be additional Word add-ins, and then you could access those particular tools. I don't have any extra Word add-ins to show you, but you could go ahead and look on the Office store in order to search for some yourself. I can also create some hyperlinks here with this link command. I can create comments, headers and footers, insert some page numbers, some nice footnotes down there, and if I really need a fancy symbol or two, well, I got a few right in here. On the Page Layout tab, you can adjust the margins of your documents and the orientation of that particular document. and you can adjust your paragraph spacing options there. On the Review tab, you can modify your spelling, create a new comment, and you can choose the option to show edit activity. So if somebody's come in here and actually made a modification or two on this particular document, I can see what modifications they have made. And finally, if I go to the View tab of the ribbon, I can do simple things like change the view. So now I'm looking at it in the reading view. And I can go back to the editing view. I can see my navigation pane on the left-hand side should I want to. And I can zoom. Those of you who have been using Word for a long time may have noticed that there are some features that are not available on the online platform, such as tracking changes and inserting a table of contents. These are features that we are hoping are going to come to Word Online in time. But for now, imagine the convenience of not even needing to open up your computer on the road. If I now need to generate a PowerPoint slide deck for my presentation on Thursday, that's easy to do in Office Online as well. All I'm going to need to do is navigate to my PowerPoint application by clicking on the waffle on the upper left-hand corner and finding PowerPoint. There are a number of pretty good-looking templates here in PowerPoint Online. Maybe I like this one. I can simply double-click on it to open it, and I'm going to create a document from scratch here. Here on my title slide, I can simply click into that text box and put in the name of my title, and I can put in my subtitle. I'm just going to put my name there. To insert additional slides, I can simply click on New Slide, and then I get all of the different kinds of slides that I could choose from. Maybe I like this kind of a slide, and I'll click on Add Slide, and that way I can build out my entire slide deck here. If there's a feature that I'm looking for and I don't necessarily know exactly where it is in the ribbon, I can always use the Tell Me bar. Tell Me allows me to find a particular feature without knowing exactly where it is in the ribbon. Maybe I want to be able to apply a transition here. There it is. There's my transition option, and it will show me a list of the different kinds of transitions that I can use within PowerPoint. Now you'll see there are only a couple of transitions here. And this goes along with the same theme that we've been experiencing, where the online platforms are a little bit less powerful than their native counterparts. Here, though, we do luckily have the two most popular classy transitions that are least likely to annoy anybody after seeing them 60 times. I'm going to apply my fade transition, and now if I actually want to run my slide deck here and test out that transition, I can simply click on the button to run my slideshow in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Of course, if I didn't know exactly where that button was, I could always type it into my Tell Me bar. And I'm just going to type in slideshow. And there it is. I'm going to click on slideshow, and it launches me into my presentation. Now, this is actually a floating window here. So if at any time I decided I was done watching my presentation, I could always click on the X on the upper right-hand side, and that'll get me out of slideshow mode. On the Design tab, you'll be able to modify all of your themes that you have available. On the upper left-hand side, you will see a gallery of different kinds of themes that have been pre-generated for you by Microsoft. Some of these are really nice looking. If I want to change the look and feel of my entire presentation at once, I can simply click on one of these themes, and it modifies my whole slide deck for me. Each theme has its own set of variants, so it's the same looking theme, but it has some kind of a variation on that particular theme. Maybe I like this particular color and pattern better, and so I click on that, and that again changes my entire slide deck to match. If I want to apply a couple of animations in here, all I have to do is go to the Animations tab, and then maybe I want to be able to see this appear slowly. All I have to do is select on that particular text box and then choose whichever animation I like. I'm going to choose Fade In because that's going to make it happen a little bit slower, but you'll see that I also have the animation to fly in here. I'll click on Fade. That applies that particular animation. And of course, I can run my slideshow directly from the Tell Me bar if I wanted to check that out. Now that I'm happy with this particular presentation, I can rename it anything that I'd like. So right now it's called a generic name here, presentation, but I'm going to say this is my Office 365 PowerPoint presentation. And then if I'd like, I can also share this document with other people. The nice thing about Office Online is that it allows you to actually collaborate with other people in real time. So if I wanted my friend Kara to share this particular presentation with me, I can invite her to be an editor on this particular document, or maybe I can say, hey, you can just view it. For Kara, I'm actually going to want her to help me edit this. She's an excellent PowerPoint designer. And I'm choosing on that particular name there, that's Kara Clifford. If I scroll down, I would see different options here. And if I still didn't see who I was looking for, I could continue scrolling down, and you'll see if you have a larger directory that it will kind of load for a second, and then you'll see who you're looking for. I'm looking for Kara Clifford here, so I'm going to go ahead and click on her name, and I'm going to say, please edit slide 2. Click on share. And that's going to share this particular document with Kara. We're going to take a look at collaboration in a few moments, and then you'll actually be able to see this in real time. But for now, let's keep moving. When operating within Excel Online, you may find that a couple of favorite features are not necessarily here. Pivot tables, for instance, aren't in Excel Online. However, any pivot table you have already created will be viewable here by you or anyone else. And that goes for any of the features that you can create in the native applications, but you don't necessarily see in the online apps quite yet. Let's take a look and see exactly what is in Excel Online. First of all, you have a set of very interesting, very handy templates here available for you. I'm going to go ahead and find one that I like, my household organizer. That's going to help me stay organized. I can easily insert and modify any cell by simply starting to click on it, just like in normal Excel. You can also easily filter and sort directly here in Excel. Now, the filtering feature isn't available all by itself, but all you have to do is simply select a group of content and choose to format that as a table. Inherently, as part of having a table formatting, filters come in along with that. And so you can access your filter capability right there. Simple things we might want to access, including cut, copying, and pasting, are here on the left-hand side of the Home tab of the ribbon. Then we have our font formatting and our alignment options. You do have Merge and Center Online, which is handy. You also have your number formatting command group, so you could very quickly select some cells and choose to format these as comma style instead of currency. If I want to find some more options, I can click on the drop-down menu here and say I want it to be accounting. And now it shows up with the $ on the left-hand side. I can also insert and delete columns. I can auto-sum by clicking on that auto-sum there. I can also use one of any number of functions that I might be interested in, such as concatenate. Now, when I start typing concatenate, I'll see that there is a new option there. That is not available in your standard Excel. This is an option that's only available with Excel 365. This concatenate function is particularly handy because unlike regular concatenate, it allows you to select a range of cells and combine them all together. There's also a new function called text join, which allows you to do the same thing as concatenate, except you can put a delimiter in between every single value. So maybe I want a space in between every cell I'm going to concatenate. And then I do want it to ignore empty cells. And then I can simply select the cells that I want to concatenate. And now I get a space in between every single one of those values. There are a number of other interesting functions that are new, including minif and maxif, and minifs and maxifs, and there's also a new function called ifs. Anybody who has been nesting ifs for a very long time will find that it is particularly handy to have this new ifs, which allows you to ask various questions all at once without having to nest any if functions. On the Insert tab of the ribbon, You'll see that you're able to insert a particular kind of function, and you do have your function search feature here. You can also search from different lists of functions, such as financial functions, or maybe you're looking for some statistical functions there. You can also insert an Excel survey. What you do is you create a new survey, enter in a couple of questions, send it off to some people, and then as they answer those questions, you will get them organized in a list much like the one that we're looking at. So you'll see Dave said 360, Mary said 350, Carrie said 200. So you'll see it organized in a list like this, which makes it very easy to analyze. You can also easily insert charts by simply selecting your data and then choosing the chart type of your choice. Now we do have some standard charts here, including column, line, pie chart, bar charts, area charts, scatter charts, and then you have some new other chart types that were not previously available to us, including a hierarchical chart called a tree map. Now I don't have particularly good data for my tree map, but essentially what it does is create categories and then create subcategories and color coordinate them. I could choose a funnel chart. What you'll normally see a funnel chart used for is phases. So phase 1, we had this number of candidates. Phase 2, you had this number. And in phase 3 and 4, you had other numbers. And each time that number was decreased. And there we go. Just like in our PowerPoint tutorial, you'll notice on the upper right-hand side, again, I have this button that says Share. So if I wanted to share this particular file with Kara and get her input on this particular file, I could do that as well. And we're going to do that in just a few moments. And now, to access some more applications, I'm going to want to see a list of all the apps that I have available to me. In order to do that, I'm going to click on my waffle, and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the waffle menu and click on View All My Apps. Now I can see a list of all the different applications that I have available to me. There are additional apps that you may not be familiar with yet that are readily available in Office Online, namely OneNote, Sway, and Delve. OneNote comes along with a purple icon and is designed to allow you to take notes about multiple different processes and multiple different projects with various levels of detail. Clicking on OneNote is going to show you a list of all the different notebooks that you have available to you at this time. In order to access one of these workbooks, I'm simply going to click on it, such as this one called Power BI Build, and this is going to show me all the details that I have about building our Power BI class. Now you'll see, as soon as I land inside of my OneNote notebook, on the left-hand side, I'll see all the different sections that are inside of this particular notebook. Just to the right of that, I'll see all of the pages that are in each particular section. In this case, I'm in a section called Fundamentals, and I'm looking at the page called Outline. On this particular page, I have a picture here that is a slide of the original intended agenda for this particular cool class that we're going to be building. In this case, you'll see a picture here that refers to some topics that we might want to talk about in a Power BI class, and underneath that, maybe I've decided I want to add some details here. I can simply click wherever I want and start typing to put notes in this spot. I can easily then select that exact same text, turn it any color I like, change the font there, make it bigger, bullet it out. I can even apply styles to it, and I can tag it with various visuals, including a checkbox here. If I choose that checkbox, I am able to now click on that checkbox once I've completed that particular item. I can add multiple tags. Maybe I want this to be marked as important. I can go ahead and click on important, and that's going to remind me to take care of this. I can also insert a couple of things, including a new page and new sections, and I can put in pictures, whether they're on my computer or from online, and attach files and hyperlinks to this particular document. OneNote is an excellent tool for being able to keep track of a particular project and the things that are required by it. You can even share a notebook by clicking on this exact same share button, just in the place that we've seen it in the other applications as well. Now, if I need to be able to create a slide deck for this particular topic, but maybe I don't have the time or the design interest to create it in PowerPoint, I can use a program called Sway. And what Sway does is it basically builds an entire, very nice looking presentation for me. And let's go ahead and check it out. It's one of the other applications that I have in my waffle, so I'm clicking on my waffle and choosing Sway. When we land in Sway, you have the option to either create a new Sway, or you can import content from other programs like Word or PowerPoint or a PDF in order to get some content in here that you can create a Sway out of. Essentially, what a Sway is a presentation. However, the nice thing about Sway is that it does all the designing for you. I have some Sways that I've already created here, but if I wanted to make my own, I would just click on New. Now let's say I'm going to create a Sway about my upcoming road trip. I can title my Sway directly there in that top card. These are called cards. If you want to insert more cards, you can simply click on the cards option up here, and that'll allow you to choose from a different set of cards. If you want more cards, you can simply click on cards up here. That will open up a panel on the left-hand side, which allows you to choose from different kinds of cards that you can choose. Let's get some content in here so that we can actually see how this works. If I want to insert some pictures, for instance, I can click on the Insert button, and then I get a bunch of suggestions for what has to do with my particular topic. And maybe road trip adventure is more like what I'm looking for. I can go ahead and click on that. I'll get some really neat looking suggestions here, and all I have to do is click on each one that has some kind of interest to me. And when I'm done, I can go ahead and click on Add. That adds all of these items as an additional card into my Sway. If I want to make comments next to some of these, all I have to do is simply click on this particular card and start typing whatever comment I would like there. Once you think that you are happy with your Sway, you can go ahead and check out how it's going to look by simply clicking on Play. And that'll give you a preview of your particular Sway so far. Here's my opening page, and I'll simply click on the buttons down here on the lower right-hand side to move to the next slide, if you will. By resizing your screen, the Sway actually updates itself to fit inside of your display area, which is particularly nice when you are designing presentations for people to view on smart devices. To move to the next screen, I will simply click on the next button, and that allows me to see the next Sway option. When I'm done, I can click on the Edit button up here to edit it, or I can choose from my More options and look at all my Sways or create a new one or duplicate this particular one. I'm going to go back into editing. Let's say I kind of liked that, but I didn't love everything about it. And I want to see if there are some other options that I could use with the same pictures and the same words. I can simply go up here and click on Remix, and that's going to take the look and feel of the presentation so far, use all the exact same images, but give me a different kind of a presentation. I can click on Remix again as many times as I want to see different looks and feel for the same kind of images. I think I like this one. This is more along the lines of what I wanted. So I'm simply going to go back into editing mode, and this has actually saved my Sway in real time. You'll notice inside of most of these applications that in the File tab, there is no Save button. There is a Save As, but most of them do not have a Save button because all of this is being saved in real time. Now, let's say I want to be able to take a look at all the material that I've recently been designing for this amazing trip that I'm going to take, and I want to be able to see all of my content at the same time. Maybe I want to see a list of everything that I've been working on and decide which one I want to play with right now. The application that's going to allow me to do that is called Delve. It's basically like a Facebook for your business. By clicking on the waffle, I can now choose Delve. In Delve, if I simply scroll down a little bit, I'll see a list of the different kinds of things that I have been working on lately. Now, this doesn't necessarily update in totally real time. It doesn't necessarily bring in the thing that I was working on 5 seconds ago, but it does bring in the things that I've been working on recently. For instance, this is another notebook that I was working on. This is an additional workbook that I was working on. And look, this is a particular file that Angela was working on. So I can actually see documents that other people were working on as well, so long as I have permissions to actually view that document. So if somebody has created some kind of a document and then shared it with me, I'll see it here in Delve. And I can scroll down to see the kinds of things that I'm interested in. Or on the left-hand side, I can choose to filter this by particular people or maybe just myself. By clicking on me, I'll see the list of recent documents that I was working on, and I can go ahead and click on one of them to take a look at that. Look, this was an email that I sent yesterday, and this was just an attachment to that email. I can click on See All and see many more options here, and go scrolling down the history that Delve has been watching. Any item in Delve can be posted to a board. You'll see this option that says, oh, this is Chelsea at work. This is that notebook. Down here it says Add to a board, and I could choose to add it to a board. If I did add it to a board, on the left-hand side, you would see that board, and if you click on that board, you would see the list of items in that particular board. This board doesn't actually have any items in it, but if it did, you would see them right here. I can also mark certain items as favorite, and then they are much more likely to show up at the top of my Delve board. I can also create new blog posts and share them with other people. We can even comment on the same documents as each other. So I can look at my home Delve. That's going to show me everything that I've been working on and other people. And I can even make comments on other people's items. We can have a little conversation history here too. And finally, we're going to take a look at adding some applications that maybe aren't already in your waffle. So long as your IT department and your company have determined that this is okay, you will have the option to actually add additional features into your waffle. Now, depending on the particular feature or application, Microsoft is going to want you to do this a little bit differently. For instance, I have an application called CodeMonkey here. If I wanted to add an additional application here, all I'd have to do is go to the store and find the application that I wanted to add. By clicking on Store, you're going to go and see all of the different kinds of applications that you have available in Office Online. They are sorted by different products. If I want to look for products that have to do with Excel, I'll simply click on Excel here, and then I'll see a bunch of products that have to do with Excel. If I decide that I would really like one of these applications, all I have to do is click on that particular application, and then it will take me to that applications page. I can simply now click on Add, and then it will be added to my list of applications. Once I've added it in my waffle, I should see it listed there along with the rest of my applications. If you don't see it here, it's probably because you've run out of space. Or maybe it's because you need to ask your IT department to allow you to turn on your own apps. But in this case, it's because I've run out of space, so I can go ahead and click on View All My Apps, and that's going to show me all of my applications, including the ones that don't actually fit up here. For instance, I have an additional application called Power BI, which is a new, very interesting, powerful feature that allows you to analyze data and visualize it and discover insights all within one particular program, and all online. One feature that we have yet to discuss, but that is very important, is OneDrive. OneDrive is the online storage space that we now use for all of the files in Office 365. OneDrive is Microsoft's cloud storage platform, and by default, generally most people have 1 terabyte of storage available on there. That's a ton of space. By clicking on OneDrive, you will land inside the OneDrive platform. On the left-hand side, I'll have a list of different kinds of folders of files over here. I'll see just general files, things that I've worked on recently, things that other people decided to share with me. I can even discover more items, and the recycle bin is basically my trash can for my storage space. Underneath that, you will see an option here that says Groups. We haven't really talked about groups yet, but we will talk about them before this class is done. On the right-hand side, you will see a list of all the different files that are in this particular folder. This is the folder called Files, and so here I'll see all the different kinds of files that I have in here. Now these are actually folders themselves. So in order to start organizing my OneDrive, because it can get very messy, I'm going to want to create folders of my own. I've already done that, and now I have all these folders that contain the different kind of files that I might be interested in. If I want to create a new file, I can do that straight here from OneDrive by clicking on New and choosing a Word document, an Excel document, and a PowerPoint presentation, etc. I can also upload files from my computer. So for instance, maybe I have a file on my computer and I want it to be up here on Office 365. Why? Because maybe I need to be able to access it from a number of different locations, and I'm going on the road today. And so I'm going to need to access this from the airport, then from a cafe later on, and finally from my hotel later tonight. I'm going to want to upload this onto Office 365, and that'll ensure that I can access it from anywhere, not just my desktop. Clicking on Files allows you to upload whatever file might be of interest to you. I happen to have a file on the desktop called Geography Asia, and if I click on Open, I'll see on the upper right-hand side that it spun for just a second to let me know that I was loading, and now it says it has successfully uploaded one item. There's another button here that says Sync. Now this is a very important button, because what it allows you to do is essentially create a bridge between your local files, the files on your computer, and the files that are online. So you can create a link between your files on your computer and OneDrive. That way, when you make any changes in your files on OneDrive, it automatically pulls those changes into the version that's on your computer. And likewise, if you make any changes on your computer's version, it'll automatically sync it up here to OneDrive. Now, by clicking on Sync, you'll get this little warning here, and then you can go ahead and say Launch Application, and that will launch a sync client that allows you to log in and then choose which files on your computer you want to be able to sync up here to OneDrive. I've actually already mapped that on my particular computer, so I'm going to show you what it looks like once you've done that. By opening up your Windows Explorer window on your computer, you'll see on the left-hand side, you have a whole new group of folders called OneDrive. Now this happens to be a OneDrive through my company, which is cnet, and then I also personally have another OneDrive that's just for me and my OneDrive that I own as an individual. However, for most of us, we're going to have one set of OneDrive files under your company name or your personal profile. In here, I can simply navigate here and look through a list of all these different options here. And maybe I want to remember what some of those fancy Excel error codes were. I can go ahead and click on error codes, and that's going to open up this file, but it's opening it up in my native Excel application. Now this is kind of interesting. We noticed that in Excel Online, I couldn't do pivot tables. But if I wanted to, I could make whatever pivot tables I wanted to here. I'm going to go ahead and make some simple changes here. I can go ahead and save this file and close it. And now if I were to try and open up that exact same file from online, from some other location, it will have those exact same changes, even though I made these changes from my computer, from my local drive, from my local programs on my actual machine. I did not make those changes in Office Online. However, they're automatically synced. And I know that it's synced because I get this nice little check mark that shows up on the left-hand side. And you may have caught this just a second ago, but for half a second, it showed a little blue spinning arrow there to let me know that it was updating itself, that it was syncing. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to close out of my Windows Explorer window, and that file is called error codes. I'm going to go ahead and open that from OneDrive. Here we go. Now I'm online. I'm in Office Online. I'm going to find error codes, and I'm going to see that that change that I made is also reflected here. And that is the value of actually syncing your OneDrive to your local machine. I've been working on a couple of files, and they're looking really good, but in order to make sure that they're perfect, I would really love some input from a couple of coworkers of mine. Before I actually have them jump into the file and start modifying it, I'm going to ask them if they have time right now to take a look at that particular file. And in order to do this, I'm going to use Skype for Business. Skype for Business is usually a local application that you open up, and it should look very much like this. It used to be known as Link, but is now known as Skype for Business. Now, you will find that once you open up Skype, you'll already have a list of a lot of people in here that you can contact. Right away, you probably won't see a list of all of your favorite contacts or all of your commonly used contacts in here. You'll need to actually make these categories. And in order to do so, you can simply click where it says Find Someone, and then you can type in the name of the person that you want to find. That will find that particular person in the list of your directory of your particular company, and then you'll be able to select on that person and either start a meeting or send a message, start a video call, send an email message, schedule a meeting, add to a contact list, or a number of other things. If you want to see the list of all your contacts, simply click on this icon here. That will give you a list of all of your favorite contacts. You can put your contacts in groups like favorites, other contacts, and you can even make your own custom groups, which I have done. I have a group of people called instructors. I also have admin and salespeople and other various items in my group list. Now, let's say the person I'm looking for isn't necessarily here. I can simply look for their name. And once it returns that particular person, I can say, okay, I want to now add this to one of my contact lists, or maybe I want to add it to my favorites. If I click on Add to Favorites, now here up at the top where it says Favorites, that particular person is added right there, and that's exactly where I want them. But if I also wanted them to be put in one of my contact lists, I could say add to a particular contact list, like admin. I can also see a list of the recent conversations that I've had by clicking on this icon that looks like a clock. And you'll see up here that I've already had conversations with Malik and with Kara recently, and I also had this conversation with Tom earlier today. There are other applications that are available in here as well, including scheduling options and persistent chat options, which will be available depending on the availability within your particular organization. On the upper left-hand side, you will see a picture there if you have actually assigned a picture with your profile. Above that, you will see your name, and then you can mark yourself as busy or available. Maybe I'm going to mark myself as available. And then I can actually set my location here. Lafayette, that's my hometown. But I could also go ahead and set in some other location, like San Francisco, where I am right now. And simply clicking your Enter key will put in San Francisco. I can also put in a particular message for myself for the day. That way, when anybody sees my profile, they'll actually see this as the message associated with me. Now let's go ahead and start that conversation that we were planning on starting earlier. If I want to contact Kara alone, I can simply double-click on Kara and say, how about that Power BI progress? And I can send a message directly to Kara. When she gets this message, she might send a response to me, and it'll look much like it looks right now, and it tells me that she's actually typing. Once she's typed her response, it'll show up just like this. If she had a picture associated with her account, it would show up on the left-hand side here as well. Now, I've decided at this point that I need to also get Malik in the loop here, and so I want to create a meeting. I could create a meeting by simply clicking on both people using the Shift key that I want to start this conversation with, and I can right-click and say I want to send an IM. This is going to create just a standard messaging meeting. Or if I already have one established with Kara and I want Malik to get in on it, I can click on this plus button up here, and then I can simply type the name of the person that I want to add here. Malik is the person that I want to add, and I'll say, I can even apply particular attachments to my messages. I can mark something as important, and I can also put in a particular icon. All right, now that I've actually confirmed that they are both available, I'm going to ask them to collaborate on a particular document with me. That document is housed inside of OneDrive, and because that document is housed inside of OneDrive, they can actually collaborate with me on the same document at the exact same time. I'm just going to go ahead and let them know that that's what we're going to do. Looks like they're both willing to help. Okay, it's time to learn about collaborating. I'm going to now go find the particular document that I want to share with Kara and Malik in OneDrive. I'm currently looking at all my applications, and I want to go to OneDrive in particular, so I am clicking on OneDrive. Now, you don't actually have to go straight to OneDrive to collaborate, but that's the way that I am choosing to get to the file that I'm looking for. Now, this particular file that I'm looking for has to do with Power BI. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Power BI. And here I see a particular document called Microsoft's Power BI Walkthrough, and that's the document that I want to share. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to open it up. And directly from here, I can choose to share the document with other people by clicking on the Share icon. Now, this particular window allows me to share with multiple people. I'll go ahead and type in Kara there. That's the Kara I'm looking for. And also Malik. And there's Malik. I want them both to be able to edit this document, so I'm going to leave it as Can Edit. But if I just wanted them to be able to see it, of course I can click on Can View. Later on, I can also send somebody a link, and then they can click on the link and actually open it up and start editing with no sign-in required. Very interesting. I can also see a list of the people that I have already chosen to share this file with, and maybe I've decided Tom can no longer modify this. So I'm going to say, okay, Tom, you can view it, but you can't modify it. Or I can even decide to stop sharing directly from here. What I'm interested in is inviting Kara and Malik to modify this particular document. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Share. That's going to send them a message, and they are going to get pop-ups that look very much like this that let them know that I have shared a file with them. I'm going to go ahead and edit the document myself in the browser. And I can see that I'm currently still the only person that's in this file. However, when Kara or Malik do decide to open up this file and start making modifications, I will be able to see that they are here as well. And now we can see that Kara Clifford is also in this particular document. Her name now shows up on the upper right-hand side. I can also see exactly where her cursor is in this particular document, and as she starts to make modifications, I can see that cursor change its location. There she goes, making a change so that the top is blue now. And that's a neat little change that she made. Fantastic, beautiful Kara, thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and make a change here as well and highlight the top paragraph. And now you've seen the real-time collaboration feature that is now available within Office Online. This feature is only available if you have OneDrive, which allows you to share files with other people and collaborate with them in real time. That is, unless you get SharePoint. Depending on your particular company structure, you may or may not have SharePoint. SharePoint is essentially a OneDrive program, but for groups of people as opposed to individuals. All the files that you saw in my OneDrive belong to me, and that's what makes OneDrive an individual account. However, SharePoint does allow you to share files with entire teams of people, and instead of having one author, like me, you can have a group authoring a particular document. However, this is exactly what I meant to accomplish. I created this file. I did want Kara's input in here. And I also want to be able to see the list of changes that were made. So, of course, like we talked about earlier, I can go to the Review tab and choose to see Show Edit Activity. And now I can see the edit activity, or rather, I would in a normal circumstance. It looks like for some reason, my particular profile is a little bit sleepy right now. Now, in some circumstances, I want to be able to contact an entire group at an entire time, or maybe I want to be able to share a file, like in the last example, with an entire group at the same time. Historically speaking, the only way that we were able to do this was using distribution groups, and distribution groups usually had to be initiated by IT and maintained by IT. But now, in Office Online, we have a new group feature that's available to us all. In order to check out our groups, I'm going to go back to the Mail application where we can see them. In order to check out our groups, I'm going to go back to the Mail application here so we can see them nicely. On the left-hand side, underneath our folders, we do see this area called groups. These are the two groups that I am part of. I'm part of a group called Instructors All. If I click on that particular group, it will take me to this particular group's page. This is where we are all able to have conversations with each other. We can also take a look at our calendar and add items to our calendar and remove them from our calendar. We can also create files that belong to the group as a whole. Start notebooks where we can all keep notes for the exact same projects or topics. And then connectors are things like Twitter. In this particular group called Instructors All, this has 16 members, and it's a number of instructors, or rather all the instructors, here at my particular company. If I wanted to issue a new conversation, I could simply click on New Conversation, and this basically creates a new collaborative blog. I could say, what's our favorite thing about collaborating? And I would go ahead and click on Send. This is essentially a mail inbox, but for an entire group. Once I actually send that message, I and everybody else in the group will get an email notification that somebody has posted something inside of our group notification. Now, anybody who is in the group that gets that particular notification can now come inside this particular conversation and reply to it by clicking on Reply All. Notice that there is a Reply All option, not a reply option. So we're not replying to individuals, we are always replying to the entire group. My group also has its own calendar. If I click on Calendar, it's going to move me over to the group calendar. Now, this is actually my calendar with all of my various different kinds of calendars on here. But I've also enabled the ability to see the group called Instructors All. Anytime you add multiple calendars into Office Online, you'll notice that they all overlay each other. So if I wanted to add an item to my group calendar, I could simply click and drag to create that particular item. And then I could change this calendar to my Instructors All calendar, thereby creating an item on my group's calendar alone. And I'll go ahead and click on Save. My group also has a set of files, or rather a OneDrive associated just to my group. And I could go ahead and create new files in here, upload existing files, do a quick edit of some files, or I could sync them to my local machine. This is actually a document library that is now shared in SharePoint. SharePoint is not something that's covered by this class, but it is a very interesting feature and definitely worth looking into. I can also access the notebook for my group. Now this notebook is empty, so I'm going to need to add a new section and a new page, or a few pages here. And I could say that this is my group notebook notes. And any modifications I make within here can be seen by everybody else in my group. The really neat thing about groups is that you and I can actually create our own groups. Previously, IT had to make the distribution groups, but regular people can now make them. Now, it's important when we're actually making these groups that we're mindful that everybody else in the organization can see these groups as well. So if I create an item and I add it into my groups, such as I did with this group called Cool People, now everybody in my entire organization can see that there's a group called Cool People. And they might feel a little bit bad if I created something called Cool People and didn't actually invite them to it. So we do want to be a little bit careful and make sure that we are mindful that most groups are viewable by everybody. If I do create a new group, I can name it whatever I want. Let's call it Training Group. And I could create a specific ID, I could add a description, and then I can also choose a privacy setting. Now, whether it's public or private, it is still discoverable by anybody in my organization. However, only the people within a private group can see things that are posted by people within a private group. Public groups are viewable by just about anybody, and if you wanted to be part of a public group, you can simply add yourself to that particular group. I already made a group a while ago called Cool People. And so if I want to be able to make certain modifications, I can absolutely do that by going into my Cool People group. Now, I'm still looking at the calendar, but maybe I actually want to grow into my group's area. The easy way to do that is to simply access that particular group from your mail application. And now you'll see that I'm actually able to modify this particular group. Now, I'm the administrator of this particular group, so I get to make certain changes here. I can choose to leave the group. I can also take a look at all the members. I can also add a member, which only I can do because I'm the administrator. And I can even see more options. Now that I've actually created this group, I can send an email to this whole group. Or I can create an appointment and invite everybody to a meeting for this new group. I can use this group for many different options. And with that, you have completed the Learn It Office 365 Cloud Platform Introductory course. On behalf of myself, Chelsea Doman, and Learn It End User Training, thank you for exploring these exciting new cloud features with us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget we also offer live classes in Office applications, professional development, and private training. Visit learnit.com for more details. Please remember to like and subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for choosing Learn It.